Tonight on News 5 Live, A bloody weekend in the city. Less than a week after opening its doors to the community, St. Martin's One Stop Auto Care comes under gunfire. One man is dead and 4 others were injured during the callous attack. Malik Acosta is shot inside his vehicle. He's discovered dead behind the steering wheel. A Mennonite businessman and a minor died in a traffic accident on the Boom-Hattieville Road when the pickup they were traveling in crashed into a heavy-duty machine. And 216 people are arrested and charged for offenses under the quarantine regulations. Details of these stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast.
It's a fact that your credit lasts longer when using Smart.
evening. Welcome to News 5 Live from Monday, December 21st. I am Marlene Cuellar. An old beef involving one of several persons who came together as reformed gang members to embark upon a business venture has left one Belize City resident dead and 4 others injured. Last Tuesday, the St. Martin's Area Community Hub was launched to much fanfare from several agencies and residents. Less than a week later, that very same location is once again in the news following an incident on Saturday that left multiple victims injured and a young mechanic dead. The shooting on Partridge Street Extension may have been unrelated, but it continued an otherwise violent weekend in Belize City. News 5's Isani Cayetano commences our coverage.
On December 15th, Albert Clother and a group of friends were present at this location on Partridge Street Extension, where, along with officials from the Colby Foundation, the United States Embassy, and the Love Foundation, they cut the ribbon for a new community-based venture to come forth. St. Martin's One Stop Auto Care was meant to be a safe haven for him and a team of young auto mechanics. Clother even thanked those organizations for acknowledging the redemptive value in such an undertaking.
This has been a dream for us for some years to own our own mechanic shop. Because, well, working at the other shops, we were the ones that were doing all the work. So now we own our own shop. We're going to work for ourselves now. And we would like to say thanks for this second chance, no? Also, we would like to say don't look at it as you're giving us a fish to eat for today. You're teaching us how to fish so that we can go ahead and we can eat tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and years to come.
Clother and 3 others are recovering from injuries they received in a drive-by shooting. A 5th person was mortally wounded during the armed attack. It happened on Saturday evening while they were on the compound, finished up a few tasks and getting ready to sign off for the day. The victim who succumbed from his injuries was 30-year-old Terrence King.
When the embassy then opened the garage set up for the area for help the community, it been excited because you get from my door over there for the mechanic and the body works. They work Saturday, and just unfortunate that he was in the wrong place at the time. They end up the shot, 5 get shot, and he end up dead.
Albert Clother, Terrence King, and Jermaine Garnett were among the 5 persons injured during the deadly spray of bullets. Garnett, known to many as Horse, was there because he too has been preaching reform since he was released from prison several years ago. That introductory step, made official last Tuesday, also gives him a second chance at redeeming himself in society.
The lead thing that happened out there, that's one incident which a vehicle passed through on fire and like one among the shot out of the group of man when we just stay. Socialize on the work site, they look for like half the day and finish off the work at 5:45. Vehicle was all lane and us started open fire upon the crowd. One man ended up getting a fatal incident and lose their life. But I don't know what we say we are fight against, we respect everything. We really vex because our bedroom don't really get trouble. Our bedroom just come up on the board too because we open all these spots and got a lot of brain span working what happened at the place.
It's a similar sentiment shared by King's foster parent. He was never into street life, just a skilled mechanic who jumped at the opportunity to work next door and be a part of that initiative.
I'm a very good mechanic. The one person, Terrence not in a nothing. Terrence not in a gang. Terrence not fight. If you have an argument, Terrence walk away. All he do is smile and he angry.
But whoever pounced on the unsuspecting men did so indiscriminately. Admittedly, Garnett says they were all caught flat-footed.
They catch the crowd off guard, so everybody actually made sleep up and capable and everybody can run at the same time because then the way how they end up to catch the crowd. But then like I tell our duty where we mind not set laugh, because we set laugh, we're not into evilness. And Jack, that's the reason why they catch we off guard. We don't say no, they don't catch we off guard, yes they do what's going wrong.
Reporting for News 5, I am Isani Cayetano.
As many as 20 spent 9mm shells were recovered from the scene of the shooting at the new Community Resource Hub. According to police, a white sports utility vehicle arrived at the location shortly after 6, and someone inside unleashed a hail of bullets on the unsuspecting men. Albert Clother, the manager of St. Martin's One Stop Auto Care, was hit as many as 5 times in the lower back. Superintendent Alejandro Coa provides additional details.
Saturday, the 19th of December, just after 6 p.m., police responded to a number of shots being fired on Vernon Street. As a result, they arrived at this renamed mechanic shop where they observed 5 different persons with different degrees of gunshot injuries. As a result, these persons were escorted to the Carl Houston Memorial Hospital, where one of them was pronounced dead on arrival, Mr. Terrence Rayburn, 30 years. Unfortunately, he passed away. The other victims that were injured at the time are Jermaine Garnett, Albert Clother, Jamal Jackson, and Keith Stewart. All of them received minor injuries. Up to present date, Mr. Clother is still admitted in a stable condition. All the rest were discharged the same night, except for Mr. Jamal Jackson, who was discharged on the following morning.
Sir, what do investigators believe exactly happened?
Well, we have gathered so far that the intended target was one of the 5 persons that were injured, and it is because of an old dispute that had happened about, I believe, 2 years ago. And they saw the opportunity to capitalize, and it is where the incident actually happened.
Gang rivalry.
Yes.
Sir, now these men, how many suspects, how many persons do police believe carried out this act?
What we understand that the suspects were inside of a vehicle, and that a person who was sitting on the back seat, he was the one that fired several shots at this person who were actually closing the garage.
Okay. Any known suspect, named suspects? What are police looking at in terms of suspects?
We are looking at 2 persons that are from within that same area that I believe they can assist us in this investigation.
The United States Embassy, which was instrumental in funding the initiative, has issued a release acknowledging that while it is aware of the tragic incident, it remains committed to supporting its Belizean partners in ensuring safe and secure communities. Jermaine Garnett, who is also one of the 5 men injured, has also pledged his commitment to continue with the project.
It was recently inaugurated with the new community hub.
Yes.
And during that interview, several persons were interviewed claiming to be past gang members, and they are trying to change their life. It is very unfortunate that the incident happened there, because we believe that these persons are just trying to make a change, and likewise trying to assist others to come in and to make a difference in the community and try to change that lifestyle they have been living. It really saddened the community, because we can see that these guys were at least trying to change or assist others in changing.
So we just have to try to pick up the pieces and try to see we could get the man a real general funeral, and us try to respect the man, because everybody loves the man. Okay? So that's all we could do for now, and try just grieve with the family and see if we could just put it behind me and continue on for we business, because that's something where we plan to keep, no care what, nobody and fight with them and let it go.
On Sunday night, shots rang out once again in the Old Capitol, this time near the intersection of West Street and Water Lane. Today, shards of glass from a vehicle driven by the victim are on the concrete street, where at least 1 gunman took aim at Malik Acosta. An injured Acosta tried to make his way to the hospital, but died before he could get there. He lost consciousness and crashed into a fence several blocks away on Douglas Jones Street. Police discovered his body behind the steering wheel of the vehicle. News 5's Dwayne Moody found out from police today that his murder is believed to be gang-related.
Malik Acosta was driving on West Street heading towards Water Lane in a Ford Explorer SUV when a gunman took aim at him. He was hit but continued driving and in the process knocked down firefighter George Lewis on Water Lane before crashing into a parked Mazda Tribute in front of a Chinese restaurant on Vernon Street. Even then, he made it to Youth for the Future Drive, over Belchina Bridge, and on to Douglas Jones Street, where Acosta lost consciousness and crashed into a fence. Police later arrived on the scene to find him dead inside the vehicle.
When approaching almost at the junction with Water Lane, a male person who was on the street side fired several shots at his direction, injuring him. He managed to drive, but whilst trying to avoid being fired, he knocked down a male person who was walking on the street. And then after he drove onto Vernon Street, where he collided into a vehicle that was parked in front of New Asia restaurant. He continued driving then into Youth of the Future Drive. Over the bridge and on Douglas Jones, he collided on L&F Chinese fast food, and that was where the vehicle came to a stop. Upon inspection of the vehicle, they saw that he was not moving. The scene was processed, and thereafter his body was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead on arrival.
It is believed that Acosta, a resident of Tiger Street on Southside Belize City, was trying to make his way to the KHMH but perished en route.
That is what we have received information, and hence the reason he had knocked down, the name of the person is Mr. Evan Lewis, I believe, who sustained a broken leg, and he is in a stable condition.
Acosta is being identified as a car dealer, but he also once worked with one of the local airline companies. A friend of his spoke of his character.
I was very surprised at what happened to Mr. Acosta. I didn't know him as to end up in that situation, to be gunned down, but he was very cool, calm, and a hard-working person.
So what motivated the attack on Acosta? Police believe that his killing may have been gang-related. Commanding officer for the Crimes Investigation Branch in the city, Superintendent Alejandro Cavos, says that Acosta was traversing rival gang territory.
We know that he has an association with one of the gangs within that area, and where he was driving is a different affiliation. So I believe that, again, those persons that were there saw the opportunity and they carried out the hit.
Investigators believe that he was being followed.
No. I believe that they had saw when he was driving on West Street, and they waited for him when he reached at the junction with Water Lane.
Police say there are 2 suspects that they are looking for at this moment. Dwayne Moody for News 5.
The recent flare-up of gang violence in Belize City prompted a meeting of senior officers within the police department to meet this afternoon. During that meeting, a new strategy was devised on how law enforcement will go about addressing the recent crimes. The exceptionally bloody weekend began with a shooting incident on Lakeview Street on Friday in which 4 persons were injured. It continued on Saturday evening with 5 other victims being added, and again on Sunday when Malik Acosta was shot and killed inside his vehicle. Police believe that while they may not be connected, they are all gang-related.
They would know that just last week, Friday, we had an incident in the Mayflower area where police officers ended up on the scene, and even they found themselves between a crossfire. And a number of persons were detained. They have been charged. I guess Mr. Maibit is going to update you on those charges. The anti-gang task force continue to develop cases against these gang members and continue to charge a number of them under the gang regulation. They should be going to court today, and we're going to see what the outcome of the court is going to be. But, like I said, there is a need for us to be tough on these people who continue to demonstrate their willingness to participate. And I am going to give credit where it is due. I can see that the crowd from the PIV area, particularly those who were involved in the hub that the U.S. Embassy recently established for them, they are trying their best to change the lifestyle and to be different. But while they're trying to change the lifestyle and be different, the other side is coming and taunting them and shooting at them. And so something needs to be done. And I see people complaining that the police this, the police that. Let me make it clear. The police is not the one shooting people. The police are the ones who are out there trying our best to see how we can address the issues or the violence that these people are perpetrating.
Karen Pinto is recovering this evening after she was shot on Sunday night. Pinto and a family member were on Antelope Street Extension when they were approached by two gunmen who fired several shots in their direction. Pinto was shot in the leg and the men escaped. Investigators do not believe that she was the target, but rather the individual she was with. CIB Commander of the Eastern Division, Superintendent Alejandro Coal, says that investigators are looking for two known suspects.
Well, Ms. Pinto, last night, just after that shooting of Mr. Acosta, she was walking on London Bridge in the Antelope Street Extension along with another family member when two male persons approached her and one of the persons fired shot at her. She was injured to her left leg and she was taken to the hospital where she's admitted in a stable condition at this moment. Well, we suspect that the target was the other person who was along with her, and likewise we know of two persons that we are looking for at this moment.
Did she see the shooters? I mean, did it pass?
Yes, police have already spoken to her and she had given some information and we are following it up from there.
Coming up, a deadly crash on the Boom-Hattieville circuit claims 2 lives.
It was the weeks before Christmas.
Just after 8 on Saturday night, there was a fatal crash on the Borough-Boom-Hatterville Road near the Gentleville community. A Ford Ranger pickup truck driven at the time by Daniel Barkman collided with a crane, sending the pickup truck off the pavement and into a ditch. Barkman and 13-year-old Luke Thiessen died on the spot. Fortunately, Ronald Thiessen and Nathan Miller survived the impact and are hospitalized in a stable condition. News 5's Dwayne Moody reports on this double fatality.
2 persons, including an adult and a minor, lost their lives in a traffic accident on the Boom-Hatterville Road. Daniel Barkman was behind the steering wheel of a Ford Ranger pickup. Accompanying him at the time were Ronald Thiessen and 2 minors, Nathan Miller and Luke Thiessen. As the pickup truck hit the curve near the Gentleville community, it crashed into a crane that was traveling in the opposite direction. Barkman and 13-year-old Luke, who sat behind him, died on the spot.
Upon the arrival, they saw a Ford pickup, extensive damage on the right-hand side of the road, and a yellow crane was parked on the road. Inside the Ford vehicle, police saw the lifeless body of Daniel Barkman, 49 years, and Luke Thiessen, 13 years. 2 other persons, Ronald Thiessen and Nathan Miller, were taken to the KHMH, where they are in stable condition at this time. The bodies of Daniel Barkman and Luke Thiessen were pronounced dead on arrival at the KHMH.
The impact from the collision sent the pickup truck off the road and into a ditch. First responder Aaron Bunny T. Wilson was also on the Boom-Hatterville Road heading to Ladyville and came up on the scene minutes after it happened. He helped to extricate Ronald and Nathan, who survived the crash and are now in a stable condition at the KHMH. Wilson speaks on what he saw when he went down into the ditch to help.
Parts me all over the streets and vehicle them done the start pull on different corner to avoid piece of bumper, piece of fenders, and so I pull over on the side where I observed on the left to where I made sit down in my car. I realized my vehicle in a ditch or something. So I tell my family, well, I have to say if anybody need help right here, and I come out of the vehicle and I go into I put on my phone. It was very, very dark. I put on my phone light and I flash in at the vehicle, and I realized that somebody, from the way it looked, that me done dead, right? So then I just check her to make sure, touch her. And then I look in at the back seat behind the driver. There was a little boy.
Realizing that the minor was also dead, Wilson then decided to go and help the 2 others who were badly injured but alive.
I gone on another side where I see one man sit down, but like he last up, and even can't see his face good where he saw covered with blood and swell up, and I can't tell how the injury may bad or how because I don't know a doctor or nothing, but I may know that he may need help and he never made it in a right mind, because I asked him if he knew his name, and he asked me how, or he may confused and last, and then I see a little boy in the back seat appears to be in pain. So then he was flipping in and out of consciousness. So I decided to take them out of the vehicle, because at the moment I saw like smoke coming out from under the hood. I'm afraid that it may explode.
We have been able to confirm that Barkman and his passengers were traveling from Orange Walk, where they went to distribute some much-needed supplies to persons who have been affected by the pandemic. They were on their way back to Spanish Lookout when tragedy struck. Police say they believe that speeding was a factor.
Catch was drawn from the area. An investigation is being conducted. The driver of the crane has been served with a notice of intent prosecution and a blood sample taken. An investigation will be conducted and the file forwarded to the DPP to determine charges.
So is it believed that speeding was a factor in this accident?
The Ford truck is extensively damaged, and so information we received that yes, the vehicle was traveling fast.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
Cattle Landing resident Darwin Chavarria was brutally murdered last week. The body of the 37-year-old was found on Thursday on the Waterhole Road near the outskirts of Punta Gorda town after he went missing the day before. Chavarria had left home in a black Ford Mariner, which was found burnt along Waterhole Road on Wednesday. Police say that Chavarria had been shot to death. His hands were bound and his body riddled with bullets. Head of the National Crimes Investigation Branch, Assistant Commissioner of Police Joseph Maivet, says that several leads are being followed with 2 possible motives being considered, including a drug-related angle.
On Thursday last, based on information received, Punta Gorda police visited an area on the Waterhole Road outside of Punta Gorda town, where somewhere on that road they observed the burnt remains of a vehicle which was later identified to be a black in color Ford Mariner. The scene was processed and officers left the scene. Later that same Thursday in the evening, a family member of Darwin Chavarria came to make a missing person report. That person reported that the last time Chavarria was seen was Wednesday. Police immediately commenced an investigation, whereupon during the process of the investigation, his common law wife was interviewed, where she reported that upon arriving home sometime around 4 p.m. on Wednesday last, she noted that her common law husband was not at home, and the home seemingly was ransacked. As a result, police carried out a further search in the area where the burnt vehicle was found on Friday morning, and sometime shortly after 8 a.m., they came across the body of Darwin Chavarria, 37 years, of a Punta Gorda town address with apparent gunshot injuries, whilst his hand was bound to the front with some type of black wire. The scene was processed and the body was removed. The investigation is still ongoing into this latest incident.
So the investigators believe that he was killed there or just?
Yes, we do believe that from the investigation that he was killed in that area.
So, speaking with his wife and anybody who knows him, any sort of motive has been established or suspects?
At this point in time, we have some credible leads that we are working on, which we do not want to divulge at this time. However, we are looking at several motives, and one of those motives seemingly was some rival with other persons, as well as we are also following a lead which may be that may have been some drug relation to the incident.
The woman police officer who investigators believe murdered well-known barber Farid Ahmad was acquitted of that charge on Friday. WPC Michelle Brown walked out a free woman after Supreme Court Justice Colin Williams ruled that prosecutors presented insufficient evidence against Brown, not satisfying the court that Brown was guilty of the December 2017 murder of Ahmad. Ahmad was shot in the head seconds before he crashed into a parked truck on the side of the road near mile 17 on the George Price Highway. Inside the car at the time of the incident was Brown, whose service-issued weapon was found inside the car and determined to be the murder weapon. Before his murder, Ahmad had made several complaints of police harassment, and his family believes that he was targeted. But while Brown was not found guilty, she is being charged internally. Commissioner of Police Chester Williams says that Brown will be charged for prejudice to good order and discipline and neglect of duty. As for Brown's assertion that there was a third person in the car at the time of the incident, Williams isn't buying it.
I am not going to comment on the outcome of the trial because I don't want to be cited for contempt of court. But in terms of the female police officer, I have directed Professional Standard Branch to charge her internally. And so now she's going to go through the internal process of the police.
Charge for what, sir?
It is going to be act of prejudice to good order and discipline, and in respect of the firearm that was handed over to her, that she was supposed to return the evening after she came off work and did not do so. That is an act of neglect of duty.
Sir, can you speak also on the angle of her calling another officer, accusing another officer of this crime?
Well, the whole society would know that prior to Ms. Brown being charged, she was in custody for over a day, and she was interviewed and questioned, including by myself. And at no time during her questioning did she brought up the fact that anybody else was in that vehicle. I partook in the investigation, and there were 2 eyewitnesses who actually saw the accident occurring and were the first on the scene. And both eyewitnesses said that at no time did they see anybody leaving that vehicle after the vehicle crash. They also said that during the time that they went to the vehicle after the accident, the doors were still locked. So I don't see how I could believe her story that someone else was in the vehicle. An intensive investigation was done with a view to ascertain whether or not other persons were in the vehicle, and that investigation revealed that there were no other persons in the vehicle. And I will leave it at that.
After the break, Commissioner Williams weighs in on a viral video of a fellow officer in a tussle with a civilian woman.
Digi spreading the love and joy this season with all our Digi
Chaos erupted on Friday night on Antelope Street Extension in Belize City. An all-out brawl between several women and police officers broke out, and the shocking incident was captured on camera. Insults were hurled and punches exchanged as the women wrestled police officers on the street. Officers reportedly went to the area to arrest the women, but the women resisted, and that is when the brawl broke out. Commissioner of Police Chester Williams regrets how the incident unfolded, but says that his officers were attacked by the mob of women who were still arrested and charged despite their resistance.
I guess you all have seen the video in the Antelope Street Extension area with the brawl where females were attacking the police. And again, as a man, I was raised by my mother to learn to respect women. And I have the utmost level of respect for women. I believe that women go through a lot to bring us on this planet, and they should be respected. But in that same vein, I do agree that women must also learn to respect themselves. And when you see women behaving in such a way as you have seen on that video, it shows clearly where the police officers were being attacked by the mob of women. The police, despite that, they exercise great restraint. I was contacted about the matter, and I told the police officers that they can withdraw, and we're going to pick up the women one by one so that they can be charged. And that was done. And again, the reason I told them to withdraw was to avoid any further confrontation with those women. But at the end of the day, they were picked up and they were all charged by the police.
216 persons were arrested and charged for violating the quarantine regulations. 112 persons were arrested for failing to wear a face mask in public. Another 38 persons were arrested because they failed to practice social distancing, and 34 persons were arrested after they were caught in public during curfew hours. 11 persons were arrested for attending a restricted social event, and 6 persons were arrested for hosting such an event. 3 persons were arrested for engaging in contact sports, while 4 were arrested for gathering in public. 2 persons were arrested for illegally selling liquor, and 2 others were arrested for transporting a passenger who did not have on a face mask. A businessman was arrested for operating his business when he was restricted, and another business person was arrested for violating COVID-19 regulations. And 2 persons were arrested in relation to border jumping. The high number of arrests is a result of the COVID-19 Police Task Force. Commissioner of Police Chester Williams says that since the creation of the task force and the establishment of the hotline to report infractions, an increase of arrests and charges has been noticed.
We're getting a lot of calls through the hotline. People are cooperating with us in terms of reporting infractions, and the police are responding adequately to these complaints. And so we're seeing that more and more people are being arrested. I would hope, though, that while we're seeing a number of arrests, that it will be seen as some way for people to understand that there's a real need for us to comply with the regulations to keep ourselves safe. For me, it is not about making arrests. For me, it is more about people complying. So I would be grateful to see that the number of arrests is reduced, providing that it will be a reflection that people are indeed complying with the requirements of the regulations. We do have a number of persons who continue to jump the border. And when you jump the border, you're not charged immediately. What happens is that you go to the Silver in the Mountain Pine Ridge area, where you undergo quarantine. And as soon as your quarantine is over, then you are brought back to the police station where you're charged, and then you're arraigned. We still have a number of persons who are at the Silver who are border jumpers, are waiting to be charged, but the charges will proceed after they have completed the quarantine.
What about that specific charge, operating a business establishment contrary to the COVID-19 regulation? That person broke which specific?
Well, obviously the person was operating a store and or a liquor establishment that was required to be closed. As you would know that under the new regulation, it continued to keep liquor establishments and rum houses closed. And we also have a number of persons who were charged for selling alcohol when the law was not required for alcohol to be sold. That is, persons who were found selling alcohol after 6 p.m.
Statutory Instrument 175 of 2020 came into effect on December 20th, with restrictions for not only public but also private transportation, which it says is for the purposes of preventing, controlling, containing, and suppressing the spread of the infectious COVID-19. It speaks to the mandatory wearing of face masks during travel in public or private vehicles or buses, and even water taxis. Section 18 of the SI says that the seating capacity is limited to 50% even for private transportation. That limitation is not sitting well with San Pedro Belize Express, who since the pandemic has already cut down on the number of runs to and from the islands. Marketing manager Shamika Pennell says that their bottom line is being affected because the number of passengers is to be reduced, but the amount and cost of fuel per run remains unchanged.
It's definitely going to affect us as a water taxi because, as you all know, our overhead cost is way different from the buses. We're actually more. It's really expensive to operate one specific run. To tell us to operate with 50%, for the most part, our normal size boat is about 100. So if we go at 50% and we're looking at 50 passengers in that vessel, if we have, it's going to be very inconvenient for a customer because if we have, let's say, 70 or 60, those persons would have to wait and we would definitely be unable to send out an extra boat, to accommodate those customers. So it's very inconvenient to our customers as well as, like I said, the overhead cost is too expensive to operate at 50%.
Since the COVID-19 pandemic in Belize, runs to and from San Pedro were stopped temporarily. When the lockdown was lifted from Berg-Risky, traffic to the island resumed. But it is still not where it used to be. Runs have been cut by half and the company is working on a skeleton staff. While the new SI is being reviewed by the management of the water taxi, Pennell fears that the new restrictions might see more employees terminated.
Since the entire COVID thing, we've seen a drastic decrease in customers. So with this now, it's going to get even worse. So in the long term, it's very unsustainable to.
Already, from what I'm understanding, you guys had reduced the number of runs, right?
Yes, we did. We were operating with 8 daily runs. We're down to 5. So with this 50%, well, the managers, they're still in discussion, but we're just looking at it at all ends, and it's definitely going to affect us. It's going to affect our customers. We would like the governing bodies, when you make those decisions, include us. Let us know what's happening so that we can voice our opinions in with this business, because it's not looking good. Are you guys going to subsidize for the other half? Are you guys going to lower the fuel price to help combat what you guys are saying? So we would like to be included in the discussion to see how we can get help as well to function, because we play a vital role in transferring inland to mainland. So I think that we're a very essential part of the entire countries, and I think that they need to look at this.
Not to mention the staff that you guys have. How do you pay your staff?
That's another thing. We are already down to what we call a skeleton staff. It's like 100 and add to all the way. If we have 30 employees, we're good. We're really down to a basic staff right now, and then cracking down more, then you would have more employees unemployed, because we cannot maintain operating with the 50% and keeping all the employees staffed.
When we come back, well-known Belizean author Z. Edgell passes away, and so does former politician Fred Hunter.
It's that time of year again. And whether you're buying gifts for loved ones, shopping for new furniture and appliances, or simply doing business as usual,
Over the weekend, a Mexican news outlet reported that a drug plane had landed on Belizean territory. Línea de Fuego in Quintana Roo reported that the plane had landed near the fishing village of Sartaneja in the Corozal district. Commissioner Williams disputed the report, saying that while the department tracked suspected drug planes, none landed in Belize over the weekend. He says that the area was searched and evidence of a drug plane landing was not found.
I know, yes, every night we do track drug planes or suspected drug planes, and we know that night before one may have landed in Mexico, but there was none that landed in Belize. I saw a report from the Mexican news outlet that one may have landed in the Sartaneja area. Maybe the Mexicans landed there, I don't know, but we have no knowledge of it. We have searched the area properly, and there is no plane that had landed in that area.
Preeminent Belizean author Zee Edgell has passed away at age 80 following a battle with cancer. Edgell penned 4 novels, including Becca Lamb and In Times Like These, as well as 5 short stories set in Belize. Zee Edgell received an honorary doctorate in literature from the University of the West Indies at Cave Hill, Barbados in 2009. In 2007, she received an MBE from Queen Elizabeth II for her contribution to literature and the community. She was also the founder of the Reporter newspaper in 1967. Zee Edgell is the elder sibling of former House Speaker Laura Tucker Longsworth and mother of journalist Holly Edgell. In other news, former politician Fred Hunter also passed away at 93 years old. This afternoon at the Gateway Youth Center, the Belize Coast Guard hosted a handful of children who are part of its Sea Cadet program to lunch. It is part of the Christmas cheer being spread by the organization, particularly since COVID-19 has disrupted other activities that would have been held as a part of its ongoing outreach. We caught up with Acting Commandant Greg Sabaranis, who says it's all about spreading the joy of the season.
Today we're having a Christmas lunch for our Sea Cadet program. As you know, the Sea Cadet program is a vital strategic component of the Coast Guard strategy. It's one way that the organization gives back to the community. It is through this program reaching out to kids. There's a saying, Isani, that goes, if you want to last the summer, grow corn. If you want to last a decade, grow a forest. But if you want to last 100 years, grow leaders. And as an organization, the Commandant believes in leadership, developing leadership. And we thought that a program such as this is one way of developing the next generation of leaders. So what you see here today is more than just giving the kids a Christmas lunch or giving them a Christmas treat. Really and truly, it's developing the young hearts and minds into becoming tomorrow's leaders.
It begins with a luncheon, is this, or is it like a small treat for the kids?
Yeah, this is just a small treat for the kids. As you know, it's a program prior to the whole COVID pandemic. We had the kids would come to our facility twice a week. So today, it's just giving the kids some pizza. You know, kids love pizza. Pizza, some soft drinks, and to have them feel the festivity or the festive time of the year, giving them a little bit of the Christmas cheer. So this is an important program for us. It is one that we intend to continue. There are many partners that support this initiative, Gateway being one of them, the U.S. Embassy being one of them, and of course our ministry, the Ministry of National Defense and Border Security, and some of the local businesses as well supports the initiative that we have going on here. So we are very thankful for all those partners that makes this program a success.
Coming up after the break, tips on how to make your Christmas rum popo.
What's wrong?
The Christmas holiday has always been a time when family and friends get together to enjoy each other's company and celebrate the season to be merry. But 2020 has proven to be a difficult year for many, and with the COVID-19 pandemic raging on, social gatherings have been made contrary to the COVID-19 regulations. But while that may be so, there are still some traditions that remain in place, including enjoying a delicious bottle of rompopo. And tonight we take a look at how the flavorful beverage is made.
For many Belizeans, Christmas isn't Christmas without a bottle of rompopo. It's a signature Christmas drink. And so today we are with one of the local makers of rompopo in Belize, Mr. Kojak Smith. He has brought us into his kitchen where he's going to share some tips and tricks about making rompopo in Belize. Kojak, what does it entail?
Thanks for having me. Thanks for coming over, guys. Appreciate it. Rompopo is pretty basic, but for me, rompopo, the best way to get it to exactly how you want it is to have quality. The ingredients have to be of high quality, and you just have to do it with love. Once you do it with love, anything with love, it will come out very, very good. And I have marketed it thus far, and the product is doing good so far.
All right, so you've been doing this for quite a while now in Belize. You're not just making the classic rompopo that we're used to. You've gotten very innovative with your flavors. Talk to us about that.
All right, well, we started off with a regular traditional rompopo. However, we at Kojak Sumptuous Rompopo always want to be innovative and creative. So last year, we decided to do some flavors. And we didn't want to do the regular flavor. We wanted to do a little bit of holiday flavors just to get people in the mood more. So we launched the pumpkin spice rompopo, and we also launched a full vegan rompopo, which is just basically full plant-based, no eggs, no dairy, nothing at all. We make sure when we're making it that it's made separately from the other rompopo just to ensure that exact quality is there. And this year now, we've launched the Ghirardelli's white chocolate with hazelnut rompopo. That has been a hit just as the previous flavors, but this year the white chocolate is really going off the shelf.
All right, so you have something for everyone. You've
Yes.
even gone fancier on us this year. Let's talk about what you're making for us today.
All right, today we'll stick to the basic, the traditional rompopo. We'll just walk through the process just so everyone could get an understanding of how to make rompopo. And it's just a holiday treat, something timeless as Belize rice and beans. Rompopo has always been in the kitchen. Just crack 2 eggs just to get it started. Make sure that there isn't any impurities in the batch. Then we'll add some liquor. What we do is add dark rum. You could use any type of liquor you want. Some people use white. You could use whiskey in it. It just depends on your flavor. Traditional rompopo goes with dark rum.
And of course, you put as much or as little as you'd want.
It just depends on your taste. Well, what we do, we have a set standard for customers more or less. And if customers want, we do customize our rompopo. If customers want extra, we add extra for extra cost. And if they want less, we do less. And we even have without any rum at all, which our eggnog line. And we do that for each one of the flavors. So then we'll add the eggs. Seasoning, just some spices, whatever spices you prefer. A little bit of cinnamon, you could just add that in. And your essence, you could just add in some vanilla. You add some sweetener, just basic condensed milk. If you notice, I don't measure anything, I just eyeball everything. And you just pour that in. It's just up to the flavor that you want. You don't have to go overboard. Some people may be having diabetes problems and stuff like that, so you just want to make sure it's just enough to give you a little sweet, but not too much to be overbearing. And you just add your carnation milk. Just pour it in slowly so that avoid any messes. And that's it. Then you just turn on the blender and blend.
You blend for how long approximately?
About a couple seconds actually, not too long. And that's it.
That's it.
That's it, just like that. Like in any good business, people buy people. So as time went on, they actually tasted the product and they started to really like it and they believed in it, and the business has grown to the point whereby we're pushing more bottles this year. We have a Facebook page, Kojak Sumptuous Rompopo. So it has grown, and just off something regular, it has turned into something larger than I expected. We at Co-Shop Sumptuous Rompopo just want to make sure that we sell people exactly what we would want to buy. We make sure that our bottles are of optimum quality, it's filled all the way to the rim, and that's just what we try to make sure that things are properly and clean and sanitized as much as possible, especially during this pandemic. We try to keep our prices very, very fair and still maintaining the quality. Our regular classic Rompopo is actually $25 per liter. And we sell liters, and these smaller bottles are mostly for gift items, like if you decide that you want to give Rompopo as gift. And it's not just any Rompopo you're gifting Co-Shop Sumptuous Rompopo, so whoever receives it will be more than happy. So we do have these, and the prices are not exorbitant. For example, these smaller bottles, these are only $12 each. So we just want to thank the customers as well as the staff and everyone behind Co-Shop Sumptuous Rompopo, friends and family that have been pushing us over the years and ensuring that we maintain our standard. So thank you guys and have a Merry Christmas.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at News 5 Live. I'm Marlene Cuellar. Thanks for joining us. And from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.